How's it going, everybody? I hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome back once again to another Kindness News Update, where each week we strive to bring you a recap of kindness stories from across the globe. So, with that being said, let's dive right into the good stuff from this week. Once again, I'm Jared Hoyer, and this is your Feel Good News. So let's go ahead and quick recap my past week. As a reminder, I'm trying to perform one random act of kindness every day for the whole year, and these are my stories from last week. It started on Monday in the lunch line at work, when I passed a plate to the person behind me in line without any prompt or request to do so. On Tuesday, I brought a gift to a friend at work who was celebrating their last day of work before their wedding, which was this past weekend. Now, the gift I brought them was a piece of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, and we shared it between the two of us. It was delicious, and I'm counting this as an act of kindness, but in reality, I was just craving some cheesecake, and I knew that my summer bod couldn't afford to have the entire piece to myself. Moving on to Wednesday, while I was out grocery shopping, I was told "bless you" by a stranger after I sneezed. Now, these two little words might not mean much to us when we say them, but it always makes me smile to hear one stranger say "bless you" to another stranger. So I was sure to go up and thank this person and tell them that I appreciated that even though they had no idea who I was, they still said "bless you." On Thursday, I was able to enjoy a very nice lunch with my teammates. We had lunch outside because it was a beautiful day here in Minnesota. When we got back up to our cubes after lunch, my one coworker noticed that she had left her sweatshirt at the table downstairs, but she couldn't go and get it right away because she had a meeting at that time. I did not have a meeting right after lunch, so I was able to take a nice little walk back downstairs, retrieve her sweatshirt, and leave it for her on her desk for when she got back from her meeting. On Friday night, my roommate and I hosted a very fun game night, and in order to help with the festivities, I baked some cookies for all of our friends to share. Moving on now to the weekend, on Saturday I spent most of the day at a friend's wedding, and while waiting in line for food, okay. On Friday night, my roommate and I hosted a very fun game night, and in order to help with the festivities, I baked some cookies for all of our friends to share. Moving on now to the weekend, Saturday I spent most of the day at a friend's wedding, and while waiting in line for food, the person in front of me dropped their fork. Now, their hands were pretty full, which is part of the reason they dropped their fork in the first place, so I was able to help them out and pick up their fork for them and get them a new one. Finally, on Sunday, while waiting in line at the store, I overheard the man behind me talking about how he and his wife had just had a baby. Well, even though I didn't know this man, I couldn't help but smile and turn to him and congratulate him on just becoming a father. Alright, well, that's enough about me. Let's move on to what you really want to hear about, and those are the stories that made national and international headlines recently. So we're going to start with a kindness story out of Malden, Massachusetts, where recently a group of 3 young men were going to watch the Boston Red Sox play the Toronto Blue Jays at Fenway Park. Now, originally the boys had 4 in their group, but a family emergency caused one of them to duck out, leaving 3 boys left with 1 extra ticket. They racked their brains thinking of who they could give the extra ticket to. They wanted it to be someone who would really appreciate the ticket and go and enjoy the game and have the time of their life. They settled for giving the 4th ticket to a homeless man that they met on their way to the park. His name was John, and after being asked if he would like to attend the game with the other 3 boys, John said absolutely. So they took John to the game, where the boys said he had a great time, really enjoyed the music, and appreciated the environment of the game. When they were asked about this story, the boys said that they hope people will read it and realize that even a small act of kindness can go a long way. They said that just maybe they helped John by helping him alleviate the stressors of being a homeless person for at least a few hours during the game. This second story we have for you comes to us from Meridian, Idaho, where recently a young boy named Christian begged his mother to throw a party for him for his 9th birthday so that he could invite all of his friends. Well, his mom eventually gave in and sent out all the invitations, only to become very confused when they only received 1 RSVP to Christian's party. Now, Christian has autism and goes to elementary school in Idaho. At a recent end of the school year picnic, his mom got to see just how most of his classmates actually interact with him, often ignoring him or telling him no when he asks them if they'll attend his party. Well, this just made her even more confused and even a little angry. So she took to Facebook to post about the lack of RSVPs to Christian's party. One of Christian's mom's friends saw the post and knew she had to do something about this. And the actions she took after this went on to make a birthday miracle happen. Now, the only problem was that this family friend wasn't actually in Idaho, she was in Texas. So she knew she couldn't personally attend Christian's party, but she also happened to be good family friends with someone who coached football at the local Idaho high school. So she messaged him, knowing that if anyone would be willing to help in this situation, it would be him. And help he did. Not only did this coach attend Christian's party, but he brought his entire football team with him. He said his players were extremely receptive to this idea, accepting within seconds of getting the text from their coach about this idea. The coach and the players showed up chanting Christian's name, and they stayed the entire time, playing with Christian and the other kids, helping to sing happy birthday, and watching Christian open his presents. Christian's mom said that Christian felt amazed and blessed by the turnout, that he talked about it for days, saying it was the best birthday ever. And finally, we'll wrap up our national headlines this week by telling you about a story out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, where recently 2 construction workers were having a normal workday when they suddenly heard a cry for help coming from the building next to them. It turned out the building next to them had caught on fire, and there was a father trapped in the 2nd story along with his 2 children, one who was just a couple months old, the other who was just a couple years old. Now, the father couldn't find a way out, so what he did after getting the construction workers' attention was take his children one by one and drop them out the window to the construction workers below so that they could catch them and at least get them away from the burning building. Now, the construction workers were able to get the children to safety very quickly, and the father eventually escaped as well. But once the children were safely away from the building, the construction workers were able to continue to help by going around to all the doors in the building and knocking on them to see if anyone else was still in the building and if anyone else needed assistance getting out of the building. As always, before we wrap up here, we'll talk about some fun and creative acts of kindness for you all to perform this upcoming week. This week, we're going to be getting into the first week of August, which is crazy to think about, but August has some really good national holidays right off the bat. Starting right away, on August 1st, we have National Girlfriend's Day. Take this opportunity to take that special lady in your life and show her you care. Buy her flowers, take her on a fun date night, buy her dinner somewhere nice, show her you care. Immediately following that will be August 2nd, which is National Coloring Book Day. A fun idea for this day would be to go out and buy a bunch of coloring books and then donate them to a local children's hospital or daycare or school. You never know just how happy that coloring book could make a child. Finally, we'll close out the week with August 4th, which is National Friendship Day. I'd encourage you to reach out to your close circle of friends, and maybe even some friends you haven't talked to in a while. Let them know that you're glad they're in your life. Remind them of how you met, or remind them of a fun memory you have of them. This, I guarantee, will put a smile on their face. Well, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you again so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more feel-good news. I'll look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, as always, I'm Jared Hoyer, reminding you to pay it forward.